Okay. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to the virtual Ossining Public Library. I'm Diana Lennon, the head of adult services, and I'm so excited that we are, after a rest in the summer, we are starting back with Ashley and our virtual potluck. So Ashley's going to tell you about the upcoming months and what we're doing. We are going to meet once a month at 6 o'clock. And we'll share the dates and everything via email. But do please try to register. And you can cook along or watch. And like I said, we'll record everything. So if you have to miss an evening, you can watch it later. Okay. So
Awesome.
I'm very happy to introduce you, if you don't already know, Ashley Covelli, Big Flavors from a Tiny Kitchen. Ashley.
Thank you, Diana. And we're gonna swap. I'm gonna add my overhead view so you all can see what's going on. I hope you can see this lovely view. Thank you everybody for being here. I know Joanna's cooking along. Beth, are you cooking along? Okay, so Joanna's got a farro or farro. Full disclosure, I don't actually know how to pronounce it. We're making a rainbow farro salad with avocado and feta. However you pronounce it, it's a delicious grain. I'm gonna be using this, I buy this one from Trader Joe's. It's a 10-minute, it cooks in 10 minutes. Some of them cook in like 20 or 30 minutes, so just read your directions. Joanna is cooking along and she's got one in a packet. It's not this, but it's a packet similar to this. So these packets, some people think they're lazy. I think it's a great thing to have in your pantry. They're like pre-cooked grains. This one is brown and red rice with chia and kale, and my family, including my 10-year-old son, really like this. And with these, you can cook them in a skillet. I never have, but you just like squeeze the pouch to break up the cooked grains. You tear a little, like 2 inches, and you microwave it for 90 seconds, and that's it. So if you happen to be using this type, I would go ahead and microwave it for 90 seconds, or however long your package says. And then once it's done, empty it out into a bowl or a sheet pan if you want it to cool off really quickly, because it's a chilled salad that we're making. A sheet pan would cool it off very quickly. But so what I'm gonna do with mine, I need to bring a pot of water to a boil and then add this and boil for 10 to 12 minutes. So it might vary depending on what type you have, but the boiling method I think works pretty well. So I'm just gonna fill that up. And this particular recipe is super versatile. You can use whatever type of veggies that you like to eat raw. It was kind of what I like to go for in this dish, just because it's nice and like crisp and refreshing, especially when we have a heat wave going on. But if you had roasted veggies in your fridge, like leftover or whatever, you could totally mix those in here too. It's kind of like, once you do one, you could kind of figure out variations to do. So maybe if you really like this vinaigrette, you could use this with some other veggies, or if you have a favorite pre-made vinaigrette or salad dressing that you like, you could use that. We are not making hard rules on this. I want you to enjoy it. So, and if you haven't been to one of my classes before, and in case you can't tell, very laid back and relaxed, please feel free to interrupt me, ask questions, tell me I'm talking too fast, tell me I'm talking too slow. It's never happened, but you never know. All right, so the water's coming up to a boil. I'm gonna turn this fan on so it doesn't get crazy hot in here. While that's cooking, I've got the best trick for corn on. I left it in the fridge. I saw this on somebody else's Instagram like 2 years ago. It was an account from New Jersey, and I've been cooking corn like this ever since. If you're using corn today, if it's already in the husk, leave it in the husk. If it's not in the husk, that's fine. You microwave it for 2 minutes per ear. So if I'm making 3 ears of corn, I just put them in the microwave for 6 minutes, and it's beautiful. Like I grew up in Indiana. I don't know how I never knew about this. So I'm not putting it in a container really. This is just my like lid. It'll make it easier to take it out later. So I'm gonna put 1 ear of corn in for 2 minutes. But I was doing that all summer. If your corn is really fresh and really sweet, you can eat it raw. You don't even need to peel. You don't even need to cook it. But if it's like off season, you might need to cook it a little. Or you could use frozen corn that you thawed. You could use canned corn that you drain. again, we're not like being crazy with the rules. So I'm gonna let that go, and we're gonna grab a large bowl. We're gonna make the vinaigrette for our salad. We're gonna do about 4 teaspoons of extra virgin olive oil. If you're local, this cheese shop, Second Mouse in Pleasantville, they sell a Calabrian olive oil, and my husband's family is from that region of Italy. So I picked some up, and then when you refill it, they give you a discount if you bring the bottle back. So I'm all about that. You can use a regular olive oil. It doesn't have to be fancy, but I feel like for raw salads like this, you get the flavor of the oil, which is really nice. Gonna add in about a tablespoon of white wine vinegar. I say about because I've made this so many times I don't really measure it, and I've got a little bit more than a tablespoon left. So you can always taste it and add more if you need, but feel free to measure. And then got a lime. I'm just gonna wash the outside. I'm gonna get some zest in there. And I put amounts on the list, like, you know, a tablespoon of fresh, a quarter teaspoon of freshly grated lime zest. I just grate the zest off of the whole lime. And if you haven't grated zest before, limes aren't as tricky as some other citrus, but there's the vibrant colored part on the outside, and then underneath is a white pith, and that's a little bitter. So like a lemon or an orange, it's a little more prominent. Once you start grating, you'll see like a lighter color on there.
That skin is so much thinner than a lemon.
Yeah, this one is. I just figured it was worth mentioning, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean that one. I just mean I tend to have more trouble zesting limes because the skin is naturally
so thin.
More.
Yeah, because if you use, I know like with a lemon or an orange, you could use a vegetable peeler and peel off a layer and then mince it if you wanted to. But on this, I feel like it would take off. I actually tried because I got a new, like a kind of fancy peeler for like cocktail garnishes. And I did try it on a lime just to see, but it takes off like, I did this and the fruit was just out. So, but yeah, on the thicker skinned ones, you absolutely could do that. My corn finished, so I'm just gonna take it out and set it aside. Once it's cool enough to handle, I'll peel back the husk, or you can like run cold water over it to cool it down. So there's also, I mean, we're using fresh lime juice in here too, so it makes sense to use fresh, but I know that they sell like dried zest. I know we have like dried orange peel in the pantry. You could also, if you enjoy margaritas or other beverages with a salted citrusy rim, you can mix it with the salt and use it for whatever drinks, and then put it in an airtight container and leave it in your bar. And then whenever you want to have a cocktail, you already have like kind of a fancy citrus salt. You can cut it with sugar too if you prefer a little sweet and salty situation. Just cutting the lime in half. My water is almost boiling. For this, we need a tablespoon of the juice. And this is like the trick that I show every single time, but it blows people's minds always. So in case you don't know, if you have one of these juicers, which you don't need, you can squeeze with your hand, you can stick a fork in and squeeze like that. But if you have one of these little elbow style ones, I always used to think you put the citrus in this way because it matches the curve, but you actually put it upside down, and this part compresses. So I'm going to put this right in here to get about a tablespoon. And then you end up with this like dry hockey puck lime. And if you were making those beverages that we mentioned before, this is like the perfect thing to rub around the rim to get it to stick. This is just seltzer, but to get it to stick. So
good hint.
Yeah, I mean, you know, why not? We do sometimes for like mocktails for my son, even just to give it something like it looks fancy. You know, you don't have to be nothing too crazy. All right, so we've got olive oil, lime zest and juice, vinegar. We're gonna add about 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt. You can always taste this later because depending on the brand of, I'm using kosher salt, and it's a little kind of chunkier than like a table salt. So if you're using table salt, start with less, start with about half. And there's also a difference between brands of kosher salt. So I use Morton's, which is smaller grains than, or bigger grains. Now I'm backwards. Diamond Crystal. Which way is it?
I can't remember.
I think that the grains are smaller than Diamond Crystal, so you have to use more Diamond Crystal.
Right.
So if you've created a recipe using that one and you go to use the other salt and you use that measurement, it's like crazy salt. You can always add more. You just can't take it away.
I have a question. Is sea salt saltier than those?
Sea salt? No, I think it's just the size. Like it's just the size of the grain. Depending, like I have some over here. Why do I have so much salt?
I have some and I've been using it. I just was wondering if
is it like
pretty chunky?
So yeah, like this, like big chunks. Yeah. So this, unless you crunch it up before you use it, it'll be saltier when that bit hits your mouth.
Right.
It wouldn't dispense as easily as like a kosher salt. So typically, a salt like that you would use for like sprinkling a little bit on top of like a cookie.
Oh, okay.
You know, just where you want that little hit of extra salt, because it doesn't really incorporate too well into like batters or anything like that.
That's what I have discovered.
Yeah, but it's a great option to have. I'm gonna measure out a cup of this farro or farro, or who knows, maybe if it's Spanish it's farro, but it's not. It's an ancient grain. Does this tell me where it's from? I think it's one of the oldest grains in the world, but you can also bulk cook grains and cool them off and put them in the freezer, or just keep them in the fridge and then you always have them handy. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes. A lot of times I just throw in, no, Alexa, stop. I don't want to listen to an audiobook right now. I might just throw in the rest of this package just because there's not a ton in here. So I turn down the heat. Once it's up to a boil, add it, and then turn down the heat so that it's simmering but not going to boil over. And this type of grain, if you've never had it before, it has like a chewy, like toothy kind of bite, kind of like what's it called? Barley or something like that. It's got a nice bite. I think it's interesting in salads and stuff. It makes it have some more texture. If I have frozen corn out of season, TJ's roasted corn. Ooh, yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, there's a lot, and like I said, there's different types of farro. So whatever kind you have, just look at the instructions for cooking. And I had one recipe once that called for cooking it kind of like in the skillet, kind of almost like a risotto. I found it a little annoying to deal with. This is so easy, you just like boil it and drain it, but Joanna's is even easier. I'm curious to hear what the texture will be like on that one.
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad.
Cool. Yeah, I would just
like when I taste it, you mean like if it's
if it's like gummy or anything.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Awesome. Yeah, and then once it's out, just like dump it in something to let it cool off.
Our dinner is ready, so I'm gonna have to shove off, but this is really great. I'm gonna tune in. I just was curious if someone's cooking in their kitchen, and somebody's cooking in their kitchen.
Several people are cooking in their kitchen.
Join us for that. That's great.
We'll be back. The next cooking class is Tuesday, October 25th.
Okay.
And we're making 2 recipes from this cookbook. So
all right, take care.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Take care, Beth. Bye.
All right, I'm gonna add some fresh cracked pepper into here. And just whisk it together. You could use a fork if you don't have a whisk. I was watching something once, speaking of, we were talking about earlier, Martha Stewart. Someone was like, you don't have to be too Martha with it. And I thought that was like such a funny way to put it. Like, you don't have to be too delicate whilst doing whatever you're doing. So it's just like a quick little emulsification. And as we chop things, we're just gonna drop them right in there. Like that's really all there is to it. So we've got We're gonna add tomatoes, about a pint or whatever size. Since this month our theme was Eat the Rainbow, I got some like rainbow colored ones, but they certainly don't have to be. I like using like grape or cherry sized tomatoes just because they're easier to work with. But you can absolutely just cut up the bigger tomato. If you have like garden tomatoes, that would be such a great use for them. And then this tip, we're just going to cut them all in half.
Ooh.
But if you haven't seen this one before, if you get like lids from delis or like takeout, if you get soup or something,
That really works, huh?
It really works. I saw it
Only
on
seen
Rachel Ray like
TikTok.
yeah, I saw it like a million years ago, and at first I laughed, but then I was like, wait. So you just lay them out in a single. The longest part is actually getting them into the lid, just in a single layer, and then with the ridge up on the bottom, and then you put the ridge side down on the top one, and then you just put your knife right through the middle, and then they're all perfectly.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, the people on the replay don't get the overhead view when I do the library one. So you'll just, hopefully you'll get the idea. But yeah, you're just kind of making a container to hang on to them while you cut them. There's also, you know, tools that cut them, but I think for this particular salad, halved is perfect. We did locally here an event at the farmer's market. I was at the library tent and we got some locals chopping things up, and we were just talking about the different rainbow colorful veggies that you can buy at the market.
Yeah, it was great. That was really awesome.
It was a lot of fun.
It was.
The hummus disappeared in like 2 seconds.
Gone.
We've made the hummus and pita chips in this particular class before.
Mhm.
And then also made tzatziki that also went pretty quickly, but that one I was demoing while people were munching on hummus. So if you have joined in the past, we were doing like a cookbook discussion and then a cooking class, both based on the theme, but we're going to be doing just the cooking classes now. Just a little, I think, more hands-on for people. But I'm always happy to talk about cookbooks if anybody ever wants to message me and chat.
And actually, I would just direct people to the Ossining Library website and go to our LibGuides and go to Virtual Potluck, and you can see all the past programs that we did. If you need to watch a video,
Yeah.
we have the book club one, the book discussion ones, and then the cooking ones too. So have a view.
I'm just cleaned off a cucumber. You can leave the seeds in or take them out. I don't mind them. Cut them into whatever size chunks you want. But if you wanted to take the seeds out, my favorite way to do so is with this little loop at the top of the vegetable peeler. They all have them, and you can just stick it in here and slide down and it peels the seeds right out. I used to only use them for cutting the eyes out of potatoes if you have potatoes that have gone a little too long, but it's really handy for that too. You can also use like a grapefruit spoon if you have it. And I'm just gonna peel my corn back now that it's a little cooler. Oh, it doesn't look great, but we'll see. I actually could not find corn. I had to go to like 4 different stores to find fresh corn.
Yeah, it's kind of past time now.
It is, yeah. I think we get so spoiled with being able to buy ingredients whenever we want.
Local. Mm-hmm.
But all right, so I'm gonna cut these just kind of into big chunks, like similar-ish in size to the tomatoes. Nothing too crazy. This is a good one for kids to help with too, especially like if they help pick out the veggies from the store.
Nice.
Like if you say like, hey, let's try to find something orange, something green, something red, and something yellow to add to our salad. And then that could be something that they could get into. My son, he definitely, like he's at the age now where he does still like to cook with me, but sometimes I have to like press a little harder to get him to actually do it. But he always likes eating it more once he's actually cooked with me, because he's invested in it, you know. So speaking of cookbooks, our next month is National Cookbook Month. So I'm going to be doing I've been for the last maybe 4 years now, maybe longer, doing an Instagram takeover of the library's account, Ossining Public Library on Instagram. And I talk about, sometimes it's a bunch of cookbooks, sometimes we do a display. I don't know if we're gonna, I forgot to mention that this year, but since next month is National Cookbook Month, I picked 2 recipes from this cookbook that I found at the library and I picked up because of the name. It's called The Kitchen Without Borders, Recipes and Stories from Refugee and Immigrant Chefs. I've made all these ones that are bookmarked. I've made like 6 or 7 so far, and they've all been so good. It's by the Eat Offbeat Chefs. And the registration for next month's program will be up like tomorrow on the library's website. But this has really great stories about chefs from all over the world, and they're all immigrants and refugees. And it gets you to look at some really interesting different ingredients. What we're gonna make next month, if you wanna sneak peek, is this one's called Musabaha, Musabbaha, and it's a Syrian recipe. It's a tahini dressed chickpea salad. It's very good. This is not one we're making, but I made this one. It's olives with this really interesting like paste sauce made with yogurt and walnuts and pomegranate molasses. Is really good. I made a jackfruit recipe. Oh, we're also going to make this tabbouleh salad that's in here from a chef from Iraq. So there's a kebab recipe. This book is just like, I've been super impressed with it. So I'll talk about the book more on the Instagram takeover. And
That's great.
It's so cool. I mean, and we had one of the recipes was from Alexa, stop. One of the recipes was from I'm blanking on which country now. I think Sudan. Like there's just like, it's just not typical countries that we necessarily enjoy food from here in the States or that have access to it. So it's been really, I mean, I've been super thrilled with it. I'm gonna just take a little bit of this farro and see if it's cooked. I'm just gonna put it in my strainer, but just to make sure that it's actually cooked, because every once in a while you get it. Yeah, it should have like a little bit of a bite to it still, like when you're cooking pasta. And then since this is a cold salad, I'm going to drain it and rinse it with cold water until it cools off. And what I like to do is just kind of sift through as it's draining, just to make sure that there aren't any little bits. Sometimes there's like, I don't know if they're like pebbles or, you know, just nature-y things sometimes. So just draining it. And then like once it cools off a bit, you can kind of use your hands to sift through it. I almost this time want there to be a thing in here so I can show you, but like sometimes there'll be like one piece. This is what it looks like when it's cooked. It's just these little grains and they're kind of like a brownish white, but sometimes there'll be one that's really dark brown sitting in there and it's just like very hard to chew through. And dental work is expensive, so. All right, so we're just, again, chopping things, dropping things. When we plate it, if anybody's interested in seeing how to make an avocado rose, I can show you how to do that, just because it's, you know, if you want to make it look fancy, even though it didn't really take too much work. I'm going to add a little red onion, just again for some more color, and because I had some in my fridge. If anybody's curious about other themes that we have coming up, next month is the National Cookbook Month one. In November, it's we're gonna do soups and stews, because that's kind of like 'tis the season for that. I'm just gonna thinly slice this in like maybe a 1/4 cup or so to add in there. I have a chili recipe that's got, I like doing 3 different types of beans in it. I'm not from Texas. I know some people don't consider that chili if there's beans in it, but whatever you want to call it. You can use 3 cans of the same type of beans, or you can use 3 different beans. And you can use either, I usually make it with ground turkey. You can use turkey, beef, you could use pork. You can use vegan ground meat substitute. If you're into that, my favorite brand, just for like my family's omnivorous, we eat meat and meat alternatives. I like Beyond Meat for ground meat, but I feel like they're all kind of doing a good job with like coming up with some interesting alternatives. I tried jackfruit because of this cookbook. I finally cooked with jackfruit, and it was really interesting. The texture does end up like pulled pork or pulled chicken, but don't be fooled into thinking it has protein, because it has good things in it, but it's not a source of protein. So just as a
Does it
note.
have a flavor, or does it just take on the flavors?
It just kind of takes on the flavors of whatever's with it. I think it would be great, like if you wanted to make like a kind of like pulled pork, if you maybe like mashed up some beans or something in with it, just to kind of, I don't know, it needs something else.
There's a recipe in that cookbook that you made?
Yeah, so it was
Did you like it?
I did. My son didn't. My husband liked it. It was interesting to cook. Like it took a lot of stuff. You have to, we got the canned in brine style, and we drained it, and then you have to boil it. This one's from Nepal. Kathahar salad, shredded jackfruit with fresh tomato and cucumber and lemon cilantro dressing. So you have to boil it in water for like a half hour, and then drain it, and then you shred it, and then you fry it in a pan. And then so I feel this was a salad. I didn't realize when I picked it out, I was just like, ooh, jackfruit, I'm gonna use that and it's gonna be protein. And then I was like, it's not. So but I was having the leftovers of that salad with some like massaged kale and a little sidecar of like sharp cheddar cheese, and it was very good. So you know, but I think like a salad like that, if you mixed in like chickpeas or something, it would be really good. But I'm curious to experiment with it more, because I think there's a lot of potential, just not as a substitute for like a protein. That's all. I think I was misled. I don't know. Like I just thought that that's what it was. Let's see. Cilantro. So let's do about a 1/4 cup of cilantro leaves. Just chop them up as finely as you want. We'll add that in there. This is good too with like, if you have like keep hard-boiled eggs in the fridge, you could, if you have an egg cooker or an Instant Pot, or you boil them on the stovetop, you can keep them in the fridge. And it's a nice little addition. I like the avocado for a little richness, and the feta, but I'm down to put feta on most things. We got those. I'm gonna taste this corn, because honestly, if it's very disappointing, I don't know that I want to add it into here.
Man, I wish it was cooking.
Yeah, let's see. I'm gonna cut some off and just, oh, it's good. Okay, it just looks sad. So you can do the whole like bundt pan trick where you have the bundt pan and you stick this in the hole, and it's supposed to make less of a mess. I feel like it still makes a bit of a mess. Or you can just lay it down on your cutting board and kind of cut across this way, just to get the corn kernels off of here. And if you keep, you can keep a bag in your freezer of veggie scraps to make, if you want to make stock. Corn cobs are great in there too, because they, yeah. And I saw somebody else actually, they were making some sort of soup, and they cut the corn off for the soup, but then while the soup was simmering, they put the cob in with the pot so that all this like starch and goodness kind of came out into the soup, which I thought was really smart.
Yeah. Oh, I like the sound of that.
Yeah, right. I'm all about that, like wasting as little as we can. And if I think Ellen, especially, I think you might be into this book. There's a book called Fridge Love that I came across because of this program a few months ago, and it has all sorts of really interesting tips for like how to store different ingredients, like the optimal way to store them and where to store them. And then the part that really got me, and Diana's been really into this, is she has all these recipes for like things in jars and like tips for storing things in jars, but not in the way that I thought, where it was just like we're eating something awkwardly out of a jar. It's like she tells you if you're storing leftovers, you put the heavy stuff on the bottom and you kind of layer it that way, and then you invert it into like a plate or a bigger bowl so that it's like I have in my fridge right now, actually. I've been doing this whenever, like if we cut up stuff for tacos, and then it makes lunch super easy another day. So like we had leftover toppings. I have like bell peppers, green onions, cilantro, and then some lettuce. So whenever I want to have this, I'm just going to turn it out and like throw on some, like if I have leftover grilled chicken or something. But it's been really interesting. She has like meal prep tips and all sorts of stuff.
It's made taking lunch to work a lot easier for me. You know, I just have like a little jar and whatever, and I just, whoop, there it goes. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And she's got really interesting like meal prep tips in there based on what type of thing you're looking to do. Like if you're looking to do like basically no cooking later on, or if you want to do just like the basic assembly and then do a few steps later. So it really breaks it down into some interesting styles. And she has a section on like an in-fridge salad bar where you prep things. Because, you know, when you go to a salad bar, it's so easy to put together this great salad. But if you go to make it at home, you don't have any chopped up veggies or anything. So it takes forever and you don't necessarily have time. So it's been super helpful. I'm just throwing in some cute radishes I got from the White Plains Farmers Market, which I forgot was so great until I went there to shoot some footage for a project I'm working on. And oh my gosh, they have so many vendors. It's great. So yeah, I'm just like, basically clean out your fridge with whatever kind of stuff you have. Bell peppers would be good in here.
Oh, can you just mention the name of that cookbook again?
Yeah, it's called Fridge Love.
Okay.
I just put the catalog link in the
nice.
You did. Awesome.
In the chat. Yeah,
it's so great. I was in the Rye Library I was doing a program for the Rye Library, and I was talking to them about it too. And I think those librarians are all hooked on it. I'm like, I just was very impressed with that cookbook. I mean, it can even, if you want to get into like the style of fridge you have and where the air circulation is based on the model, it gets really detailed. So any veggies you have that you want to add in here, add them in, and then throw in the cooked farro. I'm just trying to get the extra moisture out. Just gonna dump that in. And I cooked extra, so I'm not going to put all of it in there. I'm going to keep that, and maybe I'll add that to the veggies that I have cooked up and make a little grain bowl or something. Just going to stir this all together. And then you can taste it and see if it needs any more salt and pepper. Ooh, I'm kind of interested now. We did a fattoush salad. I did that with this group, right? I think, yeah. With the homemade baked pita chips. I think that sumac vinaigrette would be cool on like some iteration of a farro salad too. So just see, it is very colorful. So we're fitting the theme.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, yeah. All right. So this is the giant bowl of veggies. And then I'm going to show you, we'll make an avocado roast. Let me dish some out. If you want, you could add it with like grilled chicken. If you wanted to add a little something, some salmon or shrimp or tempeh, anything. If you wanted to add it, a little protein to bulk it up, you could put right on top. I think avocado and feta work nicely for that. But like I said, my husband doesn't do feta, which is weird. He's lactose intolerant, but like, I can't quite peg it, because there are some cheeses that don't have lactose, even though they're made with cow's milk, which is great.
Very aged cheese.
Yeah, very aged cheeses,
That's
especially
what
the ones
Bob
with
eats.
the
Yeah.
crystals. But like burrata will like destroy him.
Right.
But feta is sheep's milk, so I don't know. I don't know exactly what it is that he's sensitive to. But
But it is still dairy.
yeah, I mean, I take one for the team and I just eat extra feta. It's okay. All right. Hopefully the
It's rough,
avocado.
but somebody's got to do it, right?
I know. He's just lucky that he married me. All right. So for an avocado rose, you need an avocado that's ripe but not super squishy. And I'm gonna cut it in half. Hopefully this one will be good. Let's see. Ooh, okay. So I'm going to gently, this is kind of annoying, but I'm gonna peel the skin off. You can use a spoon to scrape it out, but if you can just kind of peel the skin back, it looks a little nicer. You can also just literally squish it out into your bowl. I've done that plenty of times. You don't have to get fancy with it, but I figured I'll show you a rose in case you ever want to make something fancy. It's like kind of cool actually how it comes off. I didn't realize you could do that for many years.
Yeah.
And then compost this if you compost. And if you're in Ossining and you don't have composting in your home, Green Ossining has kits for sale. I do it. You have this little thing in your kitchen and it's got vents on top and it somehow does not make your kitchen smell awful, which I thought was crazy. And then they sell rolls of compostable bags. So you line that with in that bucket. And then there's a big green bucket outside. So whenever it gets full, you just tie it off and put it in there. And then you drop it off over at Cedar Lane Arts Center. And I think because they do like a commercial composting, you can add things like bones, like, chicken or whatever, that you can't necessarily add if you're doing it in your home, which is.
Yeah, it's pretty broad what you can actually.
Yeah, they have
Right.
a whole list of guidelines. They'll give you like a pamphlet. It's pretty great. I didn't compost for the longest time because I'm in a co-op and I didn't think they would let us, but I just kind of hid it behind a bush. It's fine. Mother Nature thanks me. All right, so
It's cut down on our garbage so much.
it really has, and
have
your
the
garbage
food.
doesn't.
Yeah, it
Oh,
doesn't
sorry.
stink as much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. And Cedar Lane Park is beautiful. It gives you an excuse to go like check it out. I'm gonna slice. Let's see. Which way would you call this? Into shorter slices versus longer ones. I guess you could do either. And I'm gonna slice it as thin as I can. So when I get a slice, I'm just kind of using my finger to keep them down. I haven't done one of these in a while, so maybe it'll be good. So you're just kind of doing these little thin slices. And if your avocado's super ripe, it'll just mush. That's okay, but the concentration. Oh yeah, and then December's theme, we're gonna do cookies, and I think I want to do ricotta cookies, but I have to see if they're doable like in an hour because usually they need to cool a bit before you ice them, but we might be able to make it work. All right, I've got all these thin little, oh, my camera fell. Nobody told me. I have a new phone and it's not quite, there we go. Stay up, please. Okay, I feel like we're slowly falling, but all right. So you have all these little thin slices and then you're just gonna slowly press to kind of fan it out and then just keep going. You want them to overlap each other, but you're trying to make it into like a long shape. Why is my phone sliding when I've got avocado hands? I'm sorry, guys. Hang on, let's see.
We can
The
see.
picture's still good. We still see it. It's
Okay.
Yeah, we can see. Yeah.
All right. It's like, all right. So you just keep kind of scooching it till you get a long piece. And then start at either end. I don't know that it matters. I'm going to start with the skinnier end and you just start tucking it into a little spiral. And this would be like if you had like a brunch board with like bagels or like whatever, not just for salads, but it is really pretty on a salad.
That is really nice.
And then you
That
have,
is so great.
and it's easier than it seems like it would be. The transfer is the part, especially because I want to try to show you on the camera, bigger camera, but Yeah, I lost it. That's all right. I was like, let me bring it over to the computer. I may have saved it. Okay, hang on. Place it there. She stayed together all right.
Yeah.
You could do it with smoked salmon
Fun.
too. Like the little kind of same principle, but
That is so cool.
rosy. Yeah. And then what I usually do when I'm serving this, which is not at all fancy, pop in the pit out of there. If you're ever using an avocado, save the side with the pit in the fridge because it should stay fresh a little longer. Some people like rub a little olive oil on it to kind of create a barrier. If you add lime juice, that'll add the flavor of lime to it. So you have to like lime very carefully so you don't cut through to your fingers. Just kind of across in one direction and then the other. And then you can use a spoon to get it like a clean cut, or you can just kind of squish it and they'll plop right out. So same flavor, just slightly less fancy looking. And then I'll be nice and give my husband the one with the rose, and I'll put the feta on mine. Goat cheese would be good on here too. Parmesan would be like fresh Parmesan, like shaved, would be really nice. Joanna, how did your grains turn out all right?
Yeah, no, they taste okay. It looks
good.
It's nice and colorful, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had the orange and the red tomatoes, and yeah, I'm just gonna do the avocado now. So
Nice. I'm using this. I've been buying this one from Trader Joe's. It's a feta. I like getting a big block. It doesn't have to be this brand, but a big block that's in the brine because it lasts a lot longer. And this has like a little elevator kind of thing that lifts it out and drains it. But
look at that. I've never seen that. That's pretty
oh
cool.
yeah, it's like the cornichon pickles that I use have one of those, and I used to call it the pickle lifter, but now apparently feta has it too. So you can just break it into chunks with your fork, or you can cube it with your knife if you want. But they have already crumbled feta. I just find that, especially if you don't go through it super fast, if you get the kind in brine, it lasts a lot longer. And that is it. It takes much less than an hour if you're not like yapping with people. But that's all there is to this one. And I hope you enjoy it. Definitely let me know what you think. And
That looks awesome.
thank you.
Great.
And the next one, Tuesday, October 25th at 6 p.m. We're going to be making two things from this cookbook. I have all my events on my website, bigflavorstinyKitchen.com/events. So there is an event for this, but it's not on the library website yet. So it just says registration coming soon, but in the next day or two, it'll be up.
Yeah,
Did
I'll
you
get it
say
up.
October what?
October 25th. It's
25th.
always on a Tuesday. Like we just kind of got in the habit. We used to do 2 Tuesdays a month. So now 1 Tuesday a month at 6 p.m. Eastern.
Well, thank you to the Ossining Library for opening this up to
Of course.
Yeah, isn't
out
that the
of the
great
area.
thing about the internet? Like we can hang out. You
know.
don't have to live in the same place. And
Yeah,
Right.
the bonus of Zoom and COVID.
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Great.
Silver
I'm so glad
lining.
you joined us from far away. That's awesome.
yeah, from far away.
Far away.
I mean, come on.
Good one.
You really set it up for me, Diana. Thank you.
That's great. I can't wait to make this.
Yeah, thank you.
And you know, I
everybody.
was at Trader Joe's today and I've used that farro before, but I didn't buy any today. I've got only the long cooking one in my pantry now.
Yeah, I stock up whenever I see it. And
Yeah.
actually, I did want to show, if you are coming next month, just there's a couple ingredients that I put little notes in the PDF, but the tabbouleh uses bulgur, and it calls for fine grain bulgur, and I couldn't find fine grain bulgur when I went to make it. So this is the brand I got. You don't have to get this brand, but Barudi, and this just says bulgur cracked wheat. They had like 2 different coarsenesses. I picked the thinner one, but this still isn't as fine, I think, as some of them are. There are 0 cooking instructions.
So do you think it's really fine, kind of like,
it's not like semolina. I thought it was supposed to be, but this, I'll show you like the texture of the grain. This ended up working well. I think you could get whatever type you're able to find would be fine. I would say this is kind of like kosher salt consistency. But I linked a post from somebody's website in the PDF that the library will send out that talks about different ways to cook it, because I ended up going with, since I wasn't sure exactly what style this was, I did a different method for cooking and it worked out just fine. But they also griped that even the major brands that are producing this product, like you would think they would want people to cook with it, but it literally tells you to please store our products in a cool, dry place without sunlight. That's it. So yeah, so there are different brands. This, I ended up like boiling water and letting it soak and just checking it, and it ended up being fine. The other ingredient, I think I don't remember offhand. I think it's an optional thing, but just to show you what ground sumac looks like. We've used it in this class before, but it's this like kind of crimson brown spice. It's a little citrusy. It's used a lot in like Middle Eastern cooking, like Persian, sprinkling it on kebabs and stuff. I sprinkled it on the hummus at the farmer's market this weekend. You can find this stuff on Amazon, or if you have like a Mediterranean market in your area. And then the other thing, this is at normal grocery stores, like mainstream grocery stores and ethnic markets and specialty shops. But tahini, it often comes in a jar like a peanut butter. It's a sesame paste. I've been buying this one because it's in a squeeze bottle. And so you just shake it, and then it's got like a little spout, and it just like squeezes out. It's just a lot easier to deal with.
Ashley, have you ever seen sumac in the bulk section? So we could buy maybe just a little bit of it rather than a bunch. I guess we'll have to check our bulk section.
Yeah, so I have your address. I can mail you some.
You can come up and cook it with me.
Her kitchen would be amazing.
Big flavors from a bigger kitchen.
From a much bigger kitchen, yes. Yeah, I know like one of the Middle Eastern markets out here, Yaranoush in Elmsford. I think it's Elmsford. It's right kind of near where Joanna works, actually. Greenberg, Elmsford, somewhere in that vicinity.
It's Elmsford, yeah.
They sell sumac, and a lot of times sumac is mixed with salt. Oh, Penzies sells it, Ellen.
Oh,
so you don't have to get a giant thing. Also, Shiraz Market in Elmsford definitely sells it. The last time I got it, they only had a giant jar, which is why I have it in this. But I usually keep a small one in a shaker for the table when we do kebab. We just like sprinkle it on everything.
Oh.
Yeah, but there's recipes in this book that use sumac, so if you need like reasons to use
That's
it.
good. I just downloaded it. So
It's
take a look.
I'm like obsessed. There's a kebab recipe, a Syrian kebab recipe with like a roasted tomato and onion sauce with pomegranate molasses. I made it yesterday and I had it for lunch again today. It was like so good. Yeah. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much. Again, I hope I'll see you next month.
Yes, I hope I see you before then, but yes.
Take care. Yeah.
All right.
Everybody.
Take care, everyone.
Have a
Thank
good
you so
evening.
much. Thanks, Ashley. That looks
Thank
delicious.
you.
Enjoy.
I'm looking forward to having it. And